up, guys? So now that we have our shield made, we got to figure out a way to attach it to the frame of the go-kart. Now, I'm thinking I'm just going to be welding a bunch of tabs onto the frame, probably weld some nuts onto those tabs, and that way this entire shield can be bolted on because it's gonna have to come off at some point. I got this piece of L channel that's probably gonna get welded in here. I'm gonna build a tab that's gonna get put in the back here. In the back, I think I'm gonna build something off of this seat support, and it'll attach to the top of this guard. Attaching the guard to the front's gonna be a little bit trickier. I was thinking about mounting it directly to the transmission using these 4 holes here. But the more I think about it, this engine's gonna be vibrating a lot, and it should be vibrating separate from the frame. So if I were to connect those two things together, it's probably gonna put a lot of like stress and binding in that area, and I don't wanna deal with any of that. So I'm thinking about just building something up off of the frame, and it'll just hold the guard that way. So I'm ahead right now. I think the back's gonna be easier, so I'm gonna start there and work my way forward. All right, so here's the setup. I got these pieces of super precise 3-layered cardboard, and that's just giving me my distance of the guard off the chain. I kind of got a clamp just to help hold it up front here. I added some pieces of cardboard under here, got the frame leveled, and then I have a level back here, and that's gonna give me the I don't know, I want that to be straight up and down. So I'm gonna bend this shield so it goes straight up and down, and then I have this tab, and that's gonna go on the bottom here, and I'm gonna tack that in. Now back here, I plan on taking this tube that I already notched. I'm gonna weld it to the frame, cut it, and it's gonna get tacked in right below this guard. And then I'll weld a nut onto the end of it, and then a bolt will be able to run through the guard and into this tube, and that'll hold it there. And then I'm gonna do the exact same thing for up in here, and I'm gonna have one more mounting point right in here. Alrighty guys, so it is the next day, and we're gonna finish up getting this guard attached. We got our bracket attached down here, so we got 2 points of contact, one there, and then one more bolt up in there. So that back is pretty solid. It's definitely not going anywhere. So we need to get the front of this guard attached, but real quick before we do that, I'm gonna pull the engine. And I got these brackets under here. There's one on this side and one on that side, and that held the bumper on the original go-kart. That's not needed anymore, and those are beefy brackets. They're probably gonna get in the way, so they're getting cut off. Brackets are cut off and cleaned up. Now we just need to figure out how we're gonna secure this guard to the frame of the go-kart, and I have this piece here, so I'm thinking about cutting all this tube stuff off the back of it, and I'm thinking this shape here will fit right over this suspension, and I'll be able to weld those nuts on the back side of that piece. So we'll cut this up and see how it fits in there. This piece does fit in here pretty well. There is this piece that is bent, so I'm gonna try to bend that back out flat and kind of see where that lines up, but then kind of figure out where the bolts are gonna go, and then we'll trim it up some more and tack it in. I have this hole up here in this bracket, and I'm gonna weld a nut on the back of that, drill a hole in this shield, see where this kind of lines up, and that'll set back here where I need to weld that down. And then I have this piece of tubing, and I'm just gonna run this piece of tubing across here, and then that'll help support the top of this. I don't know how much of that you were able to see, but I'll get it done, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. Got this piece all cleaned up, and it looks like a little like anteater or antelope or something. Probably doesn't, but it goes right in here. It's gonna get tacked to the frame in 2 spots, and then I'm gonna have that little tube that's gonna connect the 2 pieces together. Bracket's in and it's only tacked along the bottom, so the top of it does kind of flex a little bit. So I'm gonna try to solve that by welding in this piece here, and that's just gonna get tacked one end to the bracket and the other end down to the frame. And that should give us plenty of clearance around that transmission, and it should also make that significantly stronger. All right, give this thing the shake test. Definitely not going anywhere. That thing is pretty solid. So now I'm just gonna drill 2 more holes in this, get some nuts welded onto the backside. Then I gotta match up those holes to the guard, get those drilled, and I can bolt that in. Got this thing bolted down in 1, 2, and 3 places up front, so that's nice and solid. Now the only place that it's kind of flimsy is here in the middle, so we're gonna have to address that. At the top we're good because we have this edge, but down here we don't have anything, so that's kind of flopping around. So I'm thinking I'm gonna cut a piece of angle iron. It's gonna go right along the back. We'll get that tacked to the frame, and that way we'll be able to run a couple more bolts through this side. I started trimming up this piece of angle, and I could just tack it in right where it's at, but that's gonna be pretty darn ugly. So I'm gonna try to get it to kind of sit in this frame, which means I'm gonna have to cut a bunch of little sections out of this so I can nest that down in there. It'll just look 10 times better, but this is gonna take a little bit of time. Here's the piece. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it's definitely not anything the welder can't cover up. So of course the guard's got to be taken off once again so I can clean up the frame and get that tacked in. But that's a problem for next week. See you guys then. Peace.